Hello folks, and welcome to another Richard Head Longbows video. Yes, as you can probably tell from the sound of my voice, if you're familiar with my other videos, I'm not trying to be sexy. I actually have a cold. I've got that cold, the cold that's going around this Christmas, because here we are, well, I don't know, 3 or 4 sleeps away, depending on when I put this video up, from the big day itself. And yeah, this is going to be the last video of the year. So what am I working on? This is my Today in the Workshop videos, where I just show you what I'm working on, really. Kind of self-explanatory. This is the bow I'm working on at the moment, or at least been trying to, in between bouts of coughing fits and wiping my nose. That's not for wiping my nose, by the way, that's for the stain, just in case you were wondering. I'm not that ill. Yeah, so this is a 60 odd pound at 28 re-enactment type bow, and that just means that it bends through the handle, and we're going to stain it now just to give it that yew effect. This is a Liberon palette wood dye yew colour that I'm using. I've got to give it a good shake before we start doing this, so do forgive me. I might speed this section up, well, because I might be here doing this action for quite a while, and you might not want to watch. And we're done. Okay. I strongly recommend using... Oh, I've dropped one. Bugger. Oh, God. See? Oh, my head. Oh. See, bending over, picking things up, doing anything of that nature is a nightmare. I shouldn't talk about bending over and picking things up when I'm putting on latex gloves. Yeah, highly recommend putting these on, otherwise you will have to explain to the missus why your hands are brown, which I suppose isn't quite as bad as finding lipstick on your collar. Oh God, see, my energy's gone. I can't even open this lid. Oh, crying out loud. Right, there we go. Right, we're in. I have done a video on staining a bow like this, which I'll stick up on the cards wherever they are up there, and you can check that one out. The other thing I want to show you after doing this is we've got some orders for some yew bows, some self-yew bows, and I'm going to show you the staves that we've got for those. Those are really rather nice pieces of wood, and that's going to be the first, hopefully the first video of next year, where I'm going to video making those yew bows. So I just lay this stave on the ground here, holding the knock end with one hand, put a liberal amount of the stain on, and then just start applying it, really, and being quite careful to keep the rag moving. If you stay in one place, you can end up with a blob of sort of darker colour rather than it keeping it even. And then just returning to the pot of dye there, put a bit more on, and again longish strokes, trying not to bunch any of those colours up, otherwise they tend to build up too quickly, and as I say, you can end up with sort of dark patches on the bow rather than an even colour. Oh, excuse me sniffing, and I'll probably have a coughing fit in a minute, which I'm sure will be delightful for your eardrums. Apologise if you're listening with headphones. There you go. That's going on quite nicely. Once I've done this, we'll put it side by side with those yew staves, and you'll see they don't look anything alike. And the reason I say that is when I did make the other video on doing staining these bows, we actually had someone accusing us of trying to pass it off as a yew bow, which isn't the point of doing this at all. It's just to give it that feel of being a yew bow, and to make something that's affordable, if I can get the words out, for people to be able to buy, really. We're not trying to fool anyone that this is actually yew, and I think you'll see when I put them together they don't look that akin. It gives you a nice feel for the colour, but it's hardly going to fool anyone, I don't think. As I say, nice even strokes. Don't worry if you miss a bit, you can always go back to it. Just keep the cloth moving, really. Normally when I do this, I'm doing this just after having done the sanding, which I have done. Normally, obviously I'm talking on video here, so I've taken my mask off. Normally I'd have a mask on. Now the type of masks that we use are the sort of throwaway kind, have a sort of rubber membrane on them, which obviously allows air in but restricts the amount of dust coming in. They do tend to collect moisture from your breath, much in the same way as if you are familiar with playing a wind instrument at all. And I've found in the past when I'm doing this that can occasionally drip and ruin all your hard work putting this on. So be very aware, if you have still got your mask on, to give it a bit of a shake first. So there you are, gentlemen, always shake first. You never know where that drip's going to go. I'm sure the women out there will appreciate me mentioning that. God, this is wearing me out. This bloody man flu, I can barely lean over, staining a bloody stave. God. Oh, crying out loud. Ugh. Who'd be a man, eh, with man flu? It's a nightmare. Anyway, so we're nearly done that end. I've done a couple of layers that end. I'll turn it around again and do another layer at this top end. I've been careful not to go too much onto the knock, though I am aware obviously some will go onto the knock there, and I will just have to use the scraper and remove any of the stain that's on there. It only goes to a small, very small layer, particularly on the horns. It's much more dense. The wood obviously will accept a little bit more depth as far as the stain penetrating it, so that will go in a bit further. And obviously don't worry too much about going around to the edges, because we're going to be removing that down the back of the bow there, to try and simulate the sap wood, the whiter wood that, as I say, if you're not familiar with yew, then you can see on the footage that I've taken of the yew staves, the self-yew staves that I'm going to be working on. Okay, so that's pretty much covered there, I think, now. Yeah, there you go. Right, let's get that back up onto here. Okay, we can check that out now in the light. Yeah, that looks okay. Pleased with that. Colour's okay. Evenness is okay. Yeah, that would be fine. Right, so the next stage now really is to sort out, as I say, the sapwood side. Okay, so I've put my lid back on the die, and this has had time to dry now. And with this sort of stuff, it dries pretty quickly. Certainly enough for us to be able to do the job, which I'm going to do now, which is make this material look a little bit more like it's got the sapwood on it. So the heartwood being the inside, the belly of the wood, the bit that would be facing you if you were shooting the bow, and the back bit that would be facing away from you if you were shooting the bow. As you can see, this bow is made up of lemonwood, and it's also got some bamboo on the back here. So the bamboo is going to give us that natural line anyway. I don't know how well that's showing on this camera, but you can just about see the glue line where those two pieces are glued together. So I'm going to go approximately to there. That gives me an ideal guide, and just going to use the scraper, get rid of that orange colouring that we put on there. I've had several people, certainly after that last video I did on this sort of process, were worrying about how even to keep this line, etc. If I show you the shots of the real yew bows, then that line is quite wobbly. It doesn't have to be a strict measured line, so I really wouldn't worry too much. All we're really doing is revealing some of this back edge here to give us that impression of the sapwood. Turn this round. There you go. I tend to favour working in this direction. I'm always curious about other bowyers out there. I'm doing a lot of turning with my left hand and the tool with the right hand, and I'm going from left to right, particularly with the scraper here. I wonder if I've put in the comments, I'd be interested to know whether you've got a preferred method, or whether you look at my method and are wondering how on earth I do it this way round. I think, like a lot of things, it's how you're shown first. I mean, I am right-handed, I do a lot of things right with my right hand, etc. But as far as knives and forks go, I eat the other way round. I eat as if I'm left-handed, which I've never quite understood. Yet I wasn't shown to eat that way around. So I wonder if there's any preferences out there on how you hold your tools. Okay, so we're nearly done there. Okay, so that's our line done on there. There we go. So I'll show this against the real yew bows there, and we'll see how that looks in comparison. Just another little bit there to finish off. So yeah, as you can see, compared to the yew bows, I say it's not going to fool anyone, but it certainly gives us a nice impression. It certainly it gives us the feel of the wood, and certainly changes the bow from being a simple lemonwood bow, which is really doesn't look the part colour-wise, to something that's going to give people a much better impression, a much more impressive looking item for the reenactment type world. And as I mentioned, there's probably some dye on the knock here, which I'm going to have to carefully get rid of. So it doesn't show up very much, and it's probably not showing up on this camera very well, but a tiny bit on there, that's gone. Okay, so there we go, folks. As I say, the yew bows here that I've got, we're going to be working on over the next few weeks. Once we start back to work, we're actually going to be closing quite soon and having a nice holiday break. I really have to thank everyone for their massive support this year. It's been the most difficult year of my life, what with the slip disc, which has put me out of action for pretty much the entire year, and then several other health issues have cropped up, and then to top it off, getting man flu, the horrific man flu that I'm suffering from. So yeah, if you're interested in following along with what we're doing with those self-yew bows, then please do subscribe if you want to. That would be great to have you here with us, and if you've enjoyed the videos, then please give them a like, a thumbs up. If you want to stay in touch with us, obviously we are on Facebook and Twitter and all those sorts of things. You know this, you know the story. So yeah, do subscribe if you wish. You know how to do it. You can press the button, and yeah, join me in the new year, and hopefully it's a better one for me, and we'll work on these yew bows together and we can see how they turn out. I hope you have a really, 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 really fantastic Christmas and a merry new year and all that other wonderful stuff. I've got to go and blow my nose. Merry Christmas, folks. See you soon.